y lo... Right. Sound check. All right, folks. 1, 2, 1. All right, we'll go ahead and start. See, we cannot be late again. All right, day 2. Hope you guys are relaxed. Some might have lost their voices yesterday from all the singing and shouting. First announcement, we're moving the conference to Orlando, Florida next year, and we're also going for a fall slot. So next year, go to sunny Orlando, more fun stuff to do, and alligators. We also got to give thanks to Mr. Karaoke Box for always being so generous and awesome host. So thank you, Karaoke Box. Tequila. We're going to start today with, since we're in our 20-year anniversary, some Ortus stories from some of our folks that we work with, and I didn't pay them. Okay, they're out of the goodness of their heart speaking today. So we'll start off today with my good friend, Mr. Ian Woodward from Avoya Travel. Woohoo!
Thank you. And you're right, you didn't pay me because I paid you. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So I'm Ian Woodward. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I work with a company called Avoya Travel. We are technically based out of San Diego, which is where I'm from. And it started off as a small family company. It's been around for around 70 years, I want to say. I've been with the company for 13. And Luis and Ortus has been with us for nearly a decade. They took us out of the Stone Ages, honestly. We were using an SFTP server in order to upload files onto a traditional website. And they took us to a swarm, Docker swarm, with a CI/CD pipeline and pushing code, and they walked us through it, held our hands, and excuse me. And over the years, we've really done some fantastic things together. They helped us grow our business from 300 or 400 million to over 500 million over the past decade in sales, and they have also helped us navigate some of the many pitfalls of relying on external APIs. So, for example, a couple years ago, we found out that one of our main APIs, Sabre, was going away for Cruise. And for those of you that are aware of Sabre, it's been in the industry for, I don't know, as long as the Andersons, as long as Avoya. And we had to make a decision very quickly what we were going to do. Do we pivot to another API? And there are some out there, but they don't all do exactly what we need. Or do we build our own? And eventually, we decided to go ahead and build our own because we had the confidence that we had the right people to be able to do such a thing. And so over the next 6 to 8 months, led by Jon Clausen here, amazing guy, everybody knows him, we tackled something that we had talked about and dreamed about since I was there. And Within, I think, 6 or 8 months, we had our first production API stood up, and literally hundreds of thousands of users accessing and utilizing this API, whether it's to get live pricing or booking or any of the other activities of management in a cruise API. And that's just one of many stories. We also have a highly modified version of ContentBox that Ortus, led by Javi over here, put in place for us. We used to have marketing people literally hand modifying HTML files, handing it over to the engineers, and then we would view it. They would always get something wrong, upload it. And we now have the CMS fully in place, highly modified, and the velocity that enabled for us as a marketing company increased by 100-fold or more because of that. CMS is such a simple and silly little thing, and yet it enables so much. And much like that, working with Ortus has enabled us in many, many ways over the years. So thank you very much, Luis. Thank you, Ortus. We've always appreciated your help and your partnership.
Thank you so much. Hello. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. We love working with you guys. Now, I don't know if he's here, Mr. Jon Wilson. Oh, there you go. He's here.
Good morning. My name is Jon Wilson. Synaptrix is my company. Trying to recap from last year. Back in 2020, I was working on a hardware startup to create environmental sensors for the agricultural industry. About that time, COVID hit. The chip industry took a dive. Had a hard time getting parts, so I started looking for other opportunities. I got a call in late 2020 from a financial services guy that needed help implementing an optimizer. They were outsourcing all their business to a third party and wanted to insource it. So I said, sure, what's an optimizer? Got to work, and with the help of Brad and Ortus, CommandBox, and the fantastic tool set and modules that they use, we ended up building out this system. In 18 months, we were able to sell the company for $30 million. Since then, the first thing they wanted to do after we sold the company is swap out the optimizer. So I said, sure, we can do that, but I'm going to need some help. So I ended up contacting my good friend Jorge and Luis, and they put together a dream team for me. We hired a brilliant developer, Sana Ola, who's got a background in Java, to help us implement this Java API and connect it with Cold Fusion, and proceeded on. Today, we're managing over $4.1 billion in assets on this system that we've all worked on. I think we processed in March $750 million in trades, and we're cranking. I think we started with 200 accounts when we did the original build, and now we're over 2,200, I believe. So yes, this is all thanks to Ortus, this great team that we put together, and this fantastic tool set. I should also mention that Sana just finished porting the optimizer to BoxLang. It's actually running in production. We're doing side-by-side testing, and it's performing fantastically.
Thanks, John. Always appreciate it. It's cool to see those stories. Very inspiring. And up next, Mr. Aaron Weinberg.
Thank you. Hi there, I'm Aaron Weinberg, the CTO of InstallNet. We're a project management company, been around for 30 years, and we have a custom ERP that runs our business. And I just looked actually right before this. We only started with Ortus literally 3 years ago, almost to the day. and how much we've changed and grown from a legacy. So the ERP that we're using is 26 years old, Cold Fusion legacy. You can think of all that monolith. With the help of Jon and others, we moved to modern stack with AWS and other pieces. And about a year ago, I came to Jorge and said, hey, I have an idea that I want to build out, a notification system. Think of it like what you see in LinkedIn, where we have a bunch of transactions previously all going into Outlook to take action back in our ERP. And I said, hey, I want to build this. I have an idea, I have a plan. And with Jacob's help, we built out this notification system. And they said, hey, guess what? We're launching BoxLang. Do you want to do it on it? I'm thinking, that's a little bit risky, because I've always thought of when you do a 1.0 on Microsoft, that's not a good thing. But a 1.0 from Ortus, I didn't really worry. I worried, but I didn't worry because I didn't care if there was a bug in the code or bug in BoxLang. I still had one throat to choke, but they didn't have an issue because they solved it and they got it working, and it's been working amazingly. The system processes about 5,000 transactions a month from external users into our system, and it just works. As we went through and started growing with it and started adding more enhancements, we realized that there were some performance hits, and we're like, how do we solve this? And Jacob, and actually with the last year's topic, I said, hey, SocketBox might actually be a great idea. And I vaguely heard of it, and he said, here's an idea, let's do this, and we implemented it. And with that, it just worked. And the performance has been great. From day one with BoxLang, it was an easy drop-in. There wasn't a lot of configuration changes. It just worked. And with the performance with SocketBox, it just keeps growing. So that was the first thing that I've been really impressed with. The second one that came up was I'm always, by the way, never satisfied with the status quo. I'm always looking, how do we add more business value? How do we improve what we're doing? And so we were doing some stuff on the DevOps side, and it was going okay. But the Ortus team came to me and said, hey, we have a DevOps engineer that can actually help you and do a lot more than what you're doing. I said, how much upskilling do I need to worry about? How much training I need to do? They're like, we got you covered. And that's what happened. So Oscar, who's in El Salvador, helps us on 10 to 15 hours a week, and we just keep elevating what we're doing from the security, from everything on the DevOps side, and it just works. So I didn't have to worry about hiring, doing any of that. They brought the team members that I need to make myself successful, and really, more importantly, make the company successful, which has been really impressive. The last thing that we've done recently is I think about how we can leverage AI in the development stack. And that's been, oh, hi, camera. That's been really important for me because I'm always thinking about how can we be doing more efficiently. And they've been really helpful with how we're thinking about it and making developers more efficient with what they're doing so we can provide more value back to the business. And that's been really impactful. And I'm really excited to see where we've came in the last just few months, literally, and where we keep going, which has been really exciting. So as a CTO, I'm thinking about the business value, and that's been absolutely instrumental in everything that we've done. So I really appreciate Ortus and everything they've done for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Very cool. All right, our last little story here. Bring over Mr. Ian Clark from the SBA.
Good morning, everybody. So my name's Ian Clark. I'm a contractor at the Small Business Administration, and been there about 26 years now, had multiple roles, done multiple things. We have 1 million plus lines of code in Cold Fusion. We have about 4 or 5 production servers, each running 3 or 4 instances of Cold Fusion. And to be honest, we've had so many issues with getting support that the management was really thinking about throwing everything out and starting from scratch. So along came BoxLang. And I'm not even sure how long ago was it, Brad, that we started with this? It seems like a year or two, but it's probably only 6 or 7 weeks. So effectively, I get told that in addition to all the other things I do, I had to start figuring out how to get our code to work with BoxLang. So this was unofficial. we had the Slack channel. I would try and run some stuff, and I couldn't actually share my code with Brad because it was government code and I couldn't put it on Slack. So I would kind of try to figure out what the error was and explain to him what the error was. So the hardest part was the back and forth in trying to figure out what I was asking for. And as soon as he got it, it was like, boom, we had another version and it worked. We also, our systems require the on-server start in Cold Fusion. I don't know if anybody uses that, but it runs when the server comes up. So you can't even run the server without it. And basically all of our code required that, and even to get to a page. So while Brad was trying to figure that out, I was trying to do some other things like getting the Oracle data sources that we use to work. So fast forward 3 or 4 weeks, we get a contract signed with them so that they can come on board and help us. In the meantime, I've got it so that I can log into the system, and now I can come up with a way to access our 20 plus applications that we have. So now we have pretty much a sprint going on with 10 programmers working on converting. I would say we're 70, 80% of the way there with getting the code done. We're moving faster every day. And the thing that has amazed me is I run into an issue and I report it, and usually the same day the fix is in place, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, the first few times I'm like, okay, I've reported an issue, now I can get on with some other things because I got 2 to 3 days or maybe a week to wait to get a response. And the next thing I know, it's building. So it's been very, very impressive, and I'm very enthusiastic. My one criticism, I would have loved to have had this 10, 15 years ago, but that's beside the point. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. It's very inspiring stories. And with that, let's transition to our 20-year-old baby, celebrating 20 years of ColdBox. So I'll take you through a few of the things that we have done. We're still going extremely strong with ColdBox, especially now. Our 20th anniversary is this June 6th. Our 7.x series is now on long-term support. And of course, our 8x series is the one that we're working on right now. Quick little stats there. There's now over 720 ColdBox modules in our ecosystem, over 500 pull requests, and the installs rate just keeps going up and up and up. We always have a roadmap for ColdBox. It delayed a little bit because of BoxLang, but we're still targeting for a 9 series to start hopefully end of year, and continue with our 8 series throughout time, and then by next year, 7 will be out of the picture and we move on forwards. So we still continue to plan for ColdBox, especially now that we have BoxLang, of course. In 7x series, we did a tremendous amount of stuff, which was wirebox delegates, hierarchical and module injectors, lazy properties, property observers, performance caching. Whoops was completely revamped at that time. The ColdBox CLI was also revamped as we were getting more tools, enhanced scheduled tasks as well, and really over 100 enhancements throughout that series. The most difficult one was to bring parity with BoxLang, and that was to give you guys the ability to write in BoxLang, in CFML, or both. And Wirebox can also combine those language objects as well, and ColdBox detects the language that you're executing. So that was a big part of the 7x series to get working. And a lot of ideas of that series are actually going into BoxLang and coming. And then we came into the 8x series, and this one we introduced what we're calling BoxLang Prime. So there is no more need of a CFML compat layer. You actually build your entire application just in BoxLang. So that creates native BoxLang support, and we generated a new version of ColdBox called BX-ColdBox. This is a BoxLang enhanced and compiled version. You can install that one instead of the traditional ColdBox package. So no more CFML module if you don't want to. All documentation books have MCP servers now, so you can actually code with AI assistance. And of course, there are new exclusive features now only for BoxLang on ColdBox, from virtual threading to more Java interop, custom executors, and AI routing, which I'm about to show you. The ColdBox CLI has also gotten a huge update, and it was released yesterday. Bringing agentic coding. I have a series on this today to show you all the things that we have for agentic coding, but all new app templates, new app creation wizards, Vite and Docker integrations, and of course, a huge extensive AI tooling to help you as a developer. We launched skills.boxlang.io that is integrated into the ColdBox CLI. You can actually download and install just like you can from ForgeBox, but instead of a package, it's a skill. So the ColdBox CLI has all the tools available for you to introspect the directory, to download the skills that you want, and to bring them forwards. And later on, hopefully, we'll create spaces for folks to actually publish their own skills. The new templates were introduced in ColdBox 8. This is a completely new approach to development. Instead of a flat approach where you dump everything into it, this is a non-root security architecture. We have been testing this for over 2 years. And now it's kind of the standard even for BoxLang applications. You have different folders now. You have different integrations for resources, a more comprehensive structure, modular design to start, right? And it is available now as a default for BoxLang or modern templates. Whoops was also a complete rewrite for version 8. And now it is a new modern approach. We have a new stack visualizer. So when you have exceptions, it'll actually start highlighting code and pointing you to the right files so you can actually open from Whoops. And we even integrated AI integration so you can actually take what you have there and point it to whatever LLM of your choice is, and easier to discover your bugs. So this is something that is going to really assist developers when they create bugs or features. So here you can see, you can actually take those, and we're going to be increasing that. It creates a whole context for you to take into your LLM and then ask how to resolve it. Okay? Later on, we'll actually have a connection into VS Code through our extension, so this can appear in VS Code. The new exception details, as you can see, are cleaner, and you can address an exception easily. So AI routing is new in our 8.1, and what this allows you to do is the new routes will actually be created for you. So you can say, I want to route this specific pattern to a AI runnable. And it will expose, as you can see here, a base invoke, a base stream, a base batch, and a base info. And then you can just focus on actually creating a chat. So you don't have to do anything in the back end. ColdBox and BoxLang AI know how to do this. And then if you create an MCP server, if you want to expose it over the wire, you can basically just say to MCP, expose a route, and it'll do it for you. So in this age of AI, ColdBox now natively speaks it BoxLang only. Here you go. Here's a route, API/chat, and that goes to my chat agent. API embeddings goes to an embedding runnable. You can have an API chat with a condition that only it can be authenticated requests. So you have a lot of tools now for you to work with AI and expose all these AI runnables easily. Here's another one. Here's an MCP file system that you can expose. Here's another one with conditions, and one that can talk to many MCP servers by convention. And with all this stuff that we're doing with AI, we're introducing one more little baby to the team here, which is CBMCP. So CBMCP is the ColdBox MCP server. It is available now. You can install it, install CBMCP. And it exposes your ColdBox applications and tools. You can connect any AI client basically to your app now. You can introspect it. You can run tests from the MCP server. You can run diagnostics. You can say, how many routes do I have? You can say, what is the condition of my cache? You can say, clear the cache. You can basically now chat with your application and figure out if there's something wrong, or actually if you want to actually execute something within it. There's a lot of security portions to it, But this opens the door now for you as a developer to be able to introspect your application like you've never done it before, which is by actually doing human interactions with it. And the cool thing is that it is extensible. So you have access to the MCP server, and if you have your own tools, you can add all of your tools into the CB MCP server, and now you can expose your app to yourself and to anybody that you want to connect to. So this is our first version. We would welcome your feedback, and there might be another MCP server coming soon, right, Michael Rigsby? So hang tight. There's other things that are coming pretty soon. And with that, we talked about CBGENESIS. Who remembers CBGENESIS before? A few people? Gary remembers it very well. Well, we want to thank Loeb Electric and Gary Knight because they are now under sponsored development for this project, this idea that we had quite a few years ago. It's going to be BoxLang only, and it's basically the ability for us to create a way to create a secure admin easily. So this will be a package that's going to be available. They've been generous to be able to give this away, and it's going to be very easy for you to build an admin with password resets, email verifications, and we already have a mock-up already. So you're going to be able to generate this and code on it and immediately, and then start building your apps on it. So passkeys will be part of it, password features, creation of accounts, two-factor authentication, specialized dashboards that you can fine-tune, user management, role management with permissions. So all this will be created for you with one command, and then you can start coding and extending it and creating your solutions with it. So we've wanted to do this for a long time, and now it's becoming a reality. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And for those of us that love testing, now it's even better because now AI can write all the tests for you. Really no more excuses. So with TestBox, we've done a lot of work as well, especially with BoxLang. It is crazy, 4.5 million installations. I wonder out of those 4.5 million installations, who's actually using it? So that would be the interesting feature. But we started our 7X series this year, and we've done a lot. A completely revamped TestBox CLI. And we introduced TestBox 7 about a month ago. We introduced a new runner called TestBox Run. This is also a BoxLang exclusive feature. And it allows you, as you can see from the GIF, to be streaming tests. Okay? It can talk to any TestBox runner, so you can actually run this and connect it to any test application. And you can introspect it. You can apply labels. You can filters. You can get visual traces and exceptions. It has VS Code integration. Of course, a dark and light mode. Why not? And every ColdBox 8 includes this now. Okay? And now that we have our desktop runtime, there's going to be a desktop TestBox run that you're going to be able to have and connect to any application that you're building and be able to test it and get good feedback. And this is available now. We also introduced the dry run support, and this was done for the IDE support. So now the IDE can actually get a dry run of all the tests that were supposed to be executed, depending on different conditions, and then the IDE will respect that, and then you can run each individual even specification. We've also introduced streaming. So this is important for very large test cases and test suites. You can now do streaming of your tests, whether using TestBox Run or the new BoxLang test runner. But all this is available to you now for streaming large quantities of specifications. The BoxLang runner has gotten a lot of love as well. You can do streaming, you can do discovery. It auto-loads application mappings because there is no web server required. We also have a lot of power flags that are going to be coming to the TestBox run as well. You can actually decide if you want stack traces to be short or full, show failed only, show passed. That should be said passed, not paste. Skipped, max failures, thresholds, and top slowest. And it'll give you reports. So the BoxLang runner is kind of our forefront now, and then everything will trickle down to the rest of the runners. And there are tons of features that I can't mention here for TestBox 7 that we've done, from suite filtering improvements to the TestBox CLI, having the capability to do streaming, to do information about the consistency of test cases, template updates on ColdBox as well, and tons of bug fixes. And we have a lot more coming for testing so please stay tuned. We have a lot of power options coming from TestBox Run. Our VS Code extension is getting more love. It's going to be completely paired with our BoxLang extension as well. So you can do AST test discovery, runner selections, enhanced assertions, and we're actually completely redoing our parallel testing, and that will be a BoxLang feature only because we have control over it. And with that, I'm going to give it to Jon. Take us to the next steps.
This Captain Container slide has been up for a long time, and I was thinking just as we were waiting here how much this has changed. That space has changed. When we first started doing containers and building CommandBox containers, we had it was new to everybody, and now it's basically ubiquitous and assumed for a lot of deployments of CFML. Well, the Docker command image, as of a couple of days ago, now currently has 1.96 million pulls, and we should hit 2 million pulls by the end of the calendar year. So that's a big change from where we started a while ago. In addition, it's the most widely used image there is out there. You can compare it to the other images that are publicly available and look at their API specs, and it's far above and beyond any of them. In the past year, we've had 13 plus releases since May of last year in Box. We've upgraded the Red Hat Enterprise Linux images, the base images, to UBI 10. And we've also optimized for some of the newer versions of CommandBox. We've added the support for multi-site environments, added some ways in which you can bypass some of the default settings that were there before the multi-server implementation existed. Now, we've also got the BoxLang mini server image now. That's the new kid on the block. We've got about 10,000 downloads, and there's a CLI image that's also available for you to use in CI/CD. There's an image with Nginx, and that's configured already with its reverse proxy. But the Alpine image of that one is only 95 megabytes. So if you're looking for something that's a fairly simple app that doesn't require a big advanced configuration, the mini server CommandBox image may be, or the mini server BoxLang image may be the right fit for you. It's nice, lightweight, and downloads super fast. So what's next? Well, the first is, hopefully within the next year, we will have a BoxLang native CommandBox image. And what I mean by that is that CommandBox will be running on BoxLang. We already have the BoxLang CLI in place, and it's been working very hard on that. But what that's going to give us is exponentially cool. First of all, it's going to give us faster runtime starts. Those box commands that we run when building images, do this, box install, all this, so much faster when it's all BoxLang native, rather than having to start up that Lucy server in the background to be able to execute the process. It's also going to give us much better debug pluggability for GitHub developers. So if you've gotten into using those in VS Code, for example, you're going to have a lot more insights and a lot more pluggability. It's going to reduce, and this is a big deal. We were talking about this, for example, yesterday. For example, the ColdFusion base image without any modules installed, or the ColdFusion base server without anything installed is around 168 megabytes. Well, BoxLang is about 8 megabytes. The difference between that is a 3-second download versus a 130 millisecond download. We're going to reduce the total image size by hundreds of megabytes. What that means is faster pulls, faster downloads, when you go to deploy your code, faster startups as well. And so that's going to make our containers much more peppy, much more nimble, and more capable going forward. The other thing it's going to do, which is near and dear to my heart, and I've been hoping for this for a long time, it's going to reduce the CV issues on containers, on our base containers, to near zero. Right now, our containers are scanned weekly, and unfortunately, due to a lot of vulnerabilities in libraries that are outdated, for example, in Lucy, we end up with all sorts of hits on things that we'd rather not have. But because that right now is what starts our servers, we need that process there. So once we do this, we should get a near zero CVE footprint for any kind of issues on our containers. And what that then allows us to do is start submitting the CommandBox images to the GitHub hardened container image repository, which will open a whole bunch of doors both enterprise, and government for us going forward. That's a very, very exciting thing. So that's what's next. And while we've been working very, very hard on BoxLang, we haven't forgotten about ContentBox. We've done some really cool things, some new iterations of features for ContentBox. So let's talk about the state of the ContentBox. It is 14 years old. I was just doing an interview with Ortus, and I said, yeah, the reason I actually got into ColdBox was I had a client that was looking to convert a legacy app, and ContentBox was the right fit for the CMS back on ContentBox 3, and that's how I learned ColdBox, because I had to develop modules and all that to go along with it. It was ContentBox 3. We're now on ContentBox 6. It's 14 years old. We're in the 6X series. We have 10 releases. It is extremely stable and powers all the Ortus sites, as well as customized versions for our enterprise clients as well. The latest 6X updates include blazing fast performance with ColdBox 8. The admin reactivity enhancements, we've done a lot of stuff. We're gradually converting the entire UI over to using Alpine.js for reactivity rather than the request response flow. We've got automatic and manual redirects, so now when you move a page, it automatically creates a redirect entry in there, a relocation entry, and that old URL stays around, so you can refactor your site tree in any way you see fit, and all of those old links will still just work. We integrated with CBFS, which now means that basically for local development, you can use your local drive, but if you want to use, for example, for your media manager and S3 when you deploy it to production, you absolutely can do that. And all you have to do is a configuration change in your CBFS module. We have more API and headless deployment updates, and it's now compatible using BXCompat CFML, and we'll be working probably in the next year to move that toward BoxLang Prime compatibility. So what is happening with ContentBox 7? ContentBox 7, as I said, BoxLang Prime. That's a priority for us right now, to be able to run without the CFML compat module. And a new AI integration. And this can open a lot of doors, especially when it comes to content and MCP servers. New admin, API tokens, and then also a desktop admin that can go along with that for your content publishers. With that, we're going to turn it over to Brad Wood, the lead CommandBox developer.
Hello, hello, hello. I know everyone went to bed at a very early time last night and got 8 full hours of sleep. Because I didn't. Just kidding. Okay, so CommandBox. Let's talk about what we're doing real quick with the state of CommandBox. We're up to 13 years old, so we're a teenager who knows about more than their parents. It's about the age when my kids started knowing more than me. And I would be like, oh, just wait till you have kids. And I was like, my mother used to tell me that. So wait till CommandBox has kids. 49 total releases since we first announced CommandBox back around 2015, 2016. We have over 770 pull requests total to the CommandBox ecosystem. You can see the breakdown for the core, the modules, even the documentation. If you want to send a pull request, the docs are an easy place to start. We closed over 17 tickets this year, and so we're very thankful to our active community of contributors, everyone who reports bugs and helps fix things. Our usage continues to grow. Our download statistics year after year have always gotten larger. The big jump there in 2023 is when we switched to tracking the actual downloads from S3, and we found out there had always been more downloads than we realized if we looked straight at the S3 logs. So very exciting to see continued increase, and I think that's just from adoption and lots of CI pipelines out there running all day long. So CommandBox, like Jon alluded to earlier, basically powers the ColdFusion world. The Adobe engine has had almost 1.5 million installations. The Lucy engine from ForgeBox has had 2.5 million installations. And of course, BoxLang was just a year old now, stable, and we're already over 60,000 BoxLang installs. So that one's growing very rapidly. So very exciting. And of course, like Jon mentioned, we have 1.8 million pulls on our CommandBox Docker image. So we'll probably make it to 2 million pulls this year on that one. And CommandBox 6.3, this was a minor release we had this year. We added a bunch of features. We added the ability to have package lock files. So the goal of a lock file is you install your dependencies, and all the nested sub-dependencies that you get that day, and your app works, and you commit that, and you run the same build with the same box.json 2 weeks later, and you find out 3 or 4 of these nested transient dependencies all bumped up a version, right? And then something breaks, and you're like, can't we just lock it in with the exact version of all the nested dependencies that we know works, so we can have this nice repeatable deploy? And that's what your lock does for you. And if you're used to NPM, it's very similar to that. So when you run install, you can do -- lock, and it creates this box lock.json, and then you have to manually upgrade anything you want. It kind of helps to stabilize those deployments. We also have the ability to use the package link command with BoxLang modules. And the package link command's been around for a little while. Just creates symlinks for you, and it's great when you're developing on modules, and you can link those modules right into the CommandBox home, or in this case now the BoxLang home. So I had a talk yesterday, talked about building modules for BoxLang. You can use package link to be able to symlink those very easily. And of course, there's a package unlink. You can also override module settings with environment variables now. So basically everything in CommandBox, whether it's your box.json, your server.json, your config settings, there's environment variable conventions for all of those. We've also added BoxLang aware rewrites. So behind the scenes, when you toggle on rewrites in your server.json, that's using this framework rewrite server rule. And we also now detect if you're on a BoxLang site with index.bxm as opposed to CFM, we'll adjust those rewrites, or you can still control it to be whatever file you want. We've had several updates of our dependencies, largely undertow. Red Hat always keeps up with any kind of security things, so we always grab those latest releases to keep that updated. And then we begin digitally signing our box.exe. Windows has gotten grumpier and grumpier about random exe files. I don't know what its problem is. And so on a lot of computers, especially if it's like a government laptop, you can't even run something that's not unsigned, and for good reason. So we now have a code signing cert, and we're signing the EXEs, so everything's all on the up and up. Microsoft can trust us again. But there's more. Introducing, table drum roll, the BXCLI. John alluded to this. So the BXCLI is the next generation of CommandBox, and we're sunsetting the Lucy server-powered version of CommandBox in favor of a BoxLang-powered version. So it's the same CommandBox with all the same commands. It starts the same servers and installs the same packages, but the installation size, the download size, the number of jars on disk are all going to be dramatically reduced. Instead of hundreds of megabytes of jars, many of which may have lingering CVEs from an Apache library, our entire BoxLang runtime is like an 8 megabyte jar, and so that's going to be what powers this. So this is on ForgeBox right now, and it's a bit inside out in that instead of having the CommandBox installation, which has Lucy bundled inside of it, it's the other way around. This is just a BoxLang module you install into BoxLang, so now BoxLang has CommandBox bundled inside of it. And then we will still provide the nice exe extractor, so you have that same initial workflow. But you can test this. There's a couple issues I'm still working through, but for the most part, it works very well. And if you have installed BoxLang with BVM, it'll also register the box binary globally just from installing the module using the binary aliases I talked about in the day one keynote. So no more Lucy inside of there. It's all going to be BoxLang installed from ForgeBox. It also supports global module installations that have those top-level binaries. It's a lot smaller, and it's ready for you to test. So if you have any questions, you want to play with that, you can find me today. But basically, you just need to install that BXCLI module into BoxLang. So next, we were going to have Grant, but he's not feeling well this morning. So pinch hitting from the bullpen is Mr. Michael Rigsby.
Well, obviously, I'm not Grant. But let me not knock things over either. You like the video? CBWire. While Grant is the father of CBWire, I've kind of adopted it as well. So this year's been pretty big with CBWire. But for anyone who's not familiar, CBWire lets you build reactive UI components very simply with minimal, if any, JavaScript. It relies on HTML over the wire. I have a session later today, so plug for my session. It is powered by Livewire, which is includes Alpine.js. So CBWire 5 was released, and it came with some pretty great new features. Big one, well, BoxLang Prime support. Keep wanting to look at that screen, but it's right here. Single file component improvements. It also came with some new directives. The wire current, wire cloak, wire show, wire text, wire replace. I'll be touching on a little bit of that today in my session. And it also improved the external module components, so you don't have to put all your wires in the base, in the root of your project under wires. And the security integration improved greatly. Each wire now has a non-secure method, so you can roll your own, check that security however you want. But it also includes some CB security integration to simplify it. Dot notation in your data properties. So now you can bind those data properties using dot notation. It helps make sure your data structure stays a little more clean, a little more organized. You get that nesting. One of the big ones that we added was the access to the event inside the wire, inside the views, which was helpful. Secure file uploads. And then, of course, we dropped the older versions of Adobe, 2018, 2021. We dropped support for those. But it does work on ColdBox 6, 7, and 8. And more when it comes out. The documentation, the docs have been improved greatly as well. Let's see. So again, like I said, it does include Alpine.js. So if you have CBWire installed, especially if you have it automatically injecting all of your CSS and the live wire, then you have Alpine on every page. I know we had a good session about that yesterday as well. But CBWire is going strong. Version 5.0.3, we actually released April 1st, and we've already had 62 installs of that. So that was great. Overall, it's had 108 releases. So I think we've been, me and Grant both have been working on a handful of stuff. We got some new things in the works, so it's exciting. And then Grant was going to do this part about me, but I guess I'm doing it now. He was going to give me a shout out for the, one of the things I did is with ColdBox, I really like the scaffolding, being able to scaffold out an application and any of your handlers and all that. So I built the CBWire CLI. If you look at it in ForgeBox, it is titled the unofficial CBWire CLI. But what it does is it helps you with a single line scaffold out your wires with multiple options. And if you want to try using CBWire, trying to create some wires, it drastically improves, so you don't have to sit there and try to put them together, go back and look at the docs, make sure you got everything you need. So out of the box, again, it's also module aware. It does both single file and the 2-file wires. And you can have it put in the lifecycle hooks for you. And it also includes in the comments lots of documentation, links directly to the docs. So try it out. If you're going to try CBWire, make sure you do that too. It does have a few quirks, but I think it works great. Documentation, make sure you check it out. cbwire.ortusbooks.com, very thorough, as well as ForgeBox for both of those. I take it you're the one going to do this. Thank you, everybody.
Sir? Thank you, Michael. Lots of great stuff on the CLI. So we're reaching the end here, so we want to basically just thank our patrons for helping us throughout these years at the little Golden Hall of Fame for all those helping us as well. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your help. Some recognition. So just remember that the Ortus community is where you can go get help for everything you need. And of course, we're producing tons of videos in our YouTube channel now. So please go subscribe and help us out as well. And with that, Eric was going to also do the module section. But of course, I guess now I'm doing it, right? So just a few reports of things that we've done. QB has been going very, very strong. I think it's the best way to do queries in CFML and BoxLang if you're not using an ORM. This is fantastic. So it's keep getting better and better and better, and especially that is now BoxLang Prime as well. We've also done Quick, and Quick is now certified as well. This is our ORM by Eric Peterson, Active Record Pattern, and it is available also as BoxLang Prime already, available to you now in the latest version. We also did CBQ, and that is also BoxLang Prime as well. Allows you to do queuing, job tasks, and tons of stuff. Mr. John Wilson is crazy about this, and and doing amazing transactions and amazing things with CBQs. So really recommend if you're doing asynchronous computations with queues and job tasks, take a look at CBQ. And of course, we introduced passkeys this past year. It is also BoxLang Prime as well. There might be a BoxLang passkey module coming soon as well, but it's been powering ForgeBox and a lot of client applications. But this is, to me, the future is to be passwordless. So if you're still using passwords, I would really, 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 really recommend that you don't, and that you move to passkeys. Okay? And with that, we also introduced CBSSO, which is a module for ColdBox to provide multi-provider support for single sign-on. There are tons of providers available already from Facebook, Google, GitHub, Microsoft SAML, and then you can even build your own implementations. But if you're doing or requiring single sign-on, this is your module. And with that, we're finalizing, and Jorge is going to kick us off in the conference.
Please. Hi, everyone. We live in a chaotic world. Would you agree with that? Do you agree with that, Kurt? Somebody disagrees with that. Yet every day starts very simple, with a new dawn. And the new dawn has a new name now. It's called the AI dawn. AI is everywhere. There's no get rid of it. It's in our conversations, in our companies, in our processes. It's everywhere. It's interesting. And people have many predictions about what can happen with AI. This is how I felt. This is AI generated, by the way, as you can see. It's like we're climbing faster and faster and faster. The big AI mountain. And with every step that we take, our gear is getting better. We can see further. We can climb faster. But yet, when we look up, we're not at the summit yet. And I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure everybody's wondering, what is there at the top? What is waiting for us out there? Is it something extraordinary? Or is it something that we will not understand or be able to control? I'm not sure, but it's always good to go to the extremes or start from there. That's how I do it. I like to see the optimistic side, the pessimistic side, and potentially the reality is going to be somewhere in between. So there are people that see AI as an amazing thing. The AI utopia. AI being used at the service of humanity, curing diseases, making you live longer, healthier, stronger, being more productive, living more comfortably. There are others that have a more pessimistic view. Basically, Terminator. When I used to say this a couple of years ago, everybody laughed really hard. Now the laugh is a little bit nervous laugh. Because the fact that that future has not a zero probability of happening is just something worth considering. It's not zero. Anyway, I'm not that pessimistic. I'm usually, as in everything in life, I'm a little bit center, tending to the right, in this case, to the evil side. Just because I know that human beings have a tendency towards evil, and technology can be used for that. So it's a scary thing to think about what types of evil can come out of this. But as I was doing my slides yesterday, did I say yesterday? I'm kidding, Luis. I did this a long time ago. Just know that, since I don't want to lie, long time ago is a relative term. Yes. So it can mean something very different for you and for me. So as I was thinking about this a long time ago, I don't remember exactly when it was because it was very late. I was trying to summarize kind of the state of the world. It seems like it's very chaotic, moving at a very fast pace. Everybody wants to push forward faster, reach maximum productivity. And I just got an overwhelming feeling, and I ended up with an ancient phrase that says, vanity of vanities. All is vanity. Everything that the man pursues under the sun is vanity. What does that mean? It means that even when human beings can achieve extraordinary things, those things feel empty, or can feel empty, incomplete, fleeting. Because deep down, I think everybody knows that we've been made for so much more than just scaling, building, reaching maximum productivity. And I was thinking that as we build, don't get me wrong, I use AI for everything I can. As you can see, our company believes in it, sees the value in it, but there's a danger lurking in there. As we're creating smarter machines, there's a risk, a quiet risk, that we can lose the connection to our humanity. And the real danger is that we may gain the world and then end up losing something far more precious. So the question to me was, it's not really what we are creating that concerns me, but who are we becoming? So I don't want to depress you, but I know this is a technology conference, but we've done this. If you're new to here, this is staple. I do this every single year, except when my youngest was born. So I want you to think about that. Who are we becoming with this technology, and how can we prevent the pitfalls? And with that in mind, would like to share with you a couple of updates of two projects that Ortus supports under the Life is More Than Software umbrella. We have the 365 Christian Man. It's a podcast, it's a daily podcast. It basically tells stories about men like you and me facing challenges, troubles, tribulations, and they have overcome those through faith, perseverance, and it's an interesting podcast because you're going to realize that the issues, the troubles that you and I may be facing today, they're not new. They just come in different flavors, but they're the same. So it's pretty encouraging to hear those stories. And now they have released the 365 Christian Women version of it. So if you're interested in that, I use it as motivation and understanding and empathy, and it may help you in your journey. So we put it out there, we support this project, and if you want to support them, you can reach out to them. Then, as you know as well, we support a Shalom Children Home in El Salvador. And for that one, for that update, I'm going to let a small video, non-AI generated, to tell you the story, what has happened the last year. I'm concerned about the volume there.
Until you stop breathing, till you stop bleeding, until your heart stops kick drum beating. When it's hard times, when it's long days, and the enemy is right up in your face. When your back's against the ropes, and you're feeling all alone. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep letting your light shine. 'Cause I'm never gonna leave you, always gonna see you through to the other side. next step, giving you the next breath. I'll be the voice saying you're gonna make it. When you're out there on your own, you are never alone. Keep fighting the good fight. Never give up, never keep letting your light shine. As long as you live. 'Cause I'm never gonna leave you, always gonna see you through to the other side. Keep fighting the good, fighting the good, fighting the good fight, good fight. Just keep on singing, and keep on dancing. Joy will be your banner, and my love will be your anthem. And you may never know what your tomorrow holds, but you can know that I am holding your tomorrow. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep letting your light shine, yeah. Keep fighting the good fight. Never give up, never keep letting your light shine. As long as you live. 'Cause I'm never gonna leave you, always gonna see you through to the other side. Keep fighting the good, fighting the good, fighting the good fight, good fight. Fighting the good fight.
Quiero enseñar que voy a dar, Señor Jesús, dame la gracia por este día, Señor, que las permitidas, Señor, que la visita vaya a sus casas con bien, Señor. Bendícenos, Señor, por el pastel que nos trajeron, Señor, sus ricos, Señor. Guárdalos, Señor. Cuídanos, Señor. Protégenos, Señor. En el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Amén.
So that's just part of our broader mission. Life is more than software, indeed. Just remember that as you go through the session. I had more things to share with you, but I'm going to wrap it up with that. And enjoy the second day of the conference.